on Amazon Music.
Affecting that transition, getting all the subsidiaries in line. I think we go into everything. Twitch, Periscope, Roku, YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and in full effect. What's happening to Instagram? Got Instagram live too. What's happening, y'all? Get ready for that transition to affect that decision. All right. Okay. Come on, y'all.
Wake up, it's a brand new day. Let's get down on the good news train. Have your morning coffee with Mario every Monday. Get the 311 before the morning's done. Laugh until you cry. You can always rely on morning coffee with Mario every Monday. Morning coffee with Mario.
Good morning. Jimmy, get up. Come on. Time to do. I got up a dress for you. Come on.
Yeah, be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Yeah, let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe with it, vibe with it, vibe with it. Be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe with it, vibe with it. Unleash the verbal blessing, go to thick with herbal lessons. So kick back, chill, relax, and learn a lesson. No 9mm, no heaters, a Smith the Wesson. You'll find this rhyme secure without question. This time, let's vibe with time without weapons and groove with the music in the smooth session. This time, let's vibe with time without weapons and the beat to me like sap to a tree. It's in me. The rap happens to set me free. Instantly when the mic touch this MC. Without the mic, this MC feel empty. I'm telling y'all, it's the lyrical recipe, lyrical ecstasy. Hearing no less from me, I accept and expect no less than the best and inject intellect without disrespect. Come on, be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe, yeah, vibe, yeah. Be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe with it, It's like an epidemic, pop star gimmick. Get it, then realize that you in it and you're finished. Whole dream diminished. See, I play the season, y'all have a scrimmage. I spit with reason, y'all hit the image. But I believe the dream has no limits. I believe that's the whole reason we live it. But they don't get it, they like it's not right, is it? No visit, hip hop here to stay, no shizit. We gonna get it, new improved music, move and groove with it. Choose who you get with. I smack rap back like it's the hoes. My flow hard like Dick, get the skimpy clothes on individuals when anything goes. I play a pick 'em like eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Got soul, got so much funk up in the rap, I should pack a fat bowl. Y'all should kick back, relax, and just roll with me, vibe with me, roll with me, vibe with me, roll with me. Come on and vibe with me. Hip hop ain't dead, just keep it alive with me. Be cool, just move with the groove. No funk in here, the beat way too smooth. Let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe. Let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe with it.
Be cool. Yeah. Oh. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. All right, thank you. I know. Welcome, everyone, to Morning Coffee with Mario Special Edition. And as always, I'm never here alone. Always at the helm of this ship, driving it, is the man, my partner in crime, the one the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. Give it up. Victor Allen, everybody. Give it up.
Right. What's up, man? What's up? What's up? I see what you're doing.
I'm still working with the sound.
Yeah, that's all right, bro.
Windows updates. What can I say?
I got you.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, man. Under the conditions, I'm blessed. Feeling good. I got people in my Periscope giving out a lot of love. I hope you guys are all safe, well, taking care, being responsible, social distance with exceptions, right? And, of course, Facebook fam. Nisi, I see you. Long time, friend. Long time. And, of course, Twitch. Kind of keep it, real. And then I got my live.me fam in front of me there, giving me the finger.
I got my session down to my live. Well, obviously, Vic, people have been missing us, right? You're on a bunch of platforms this morning. I'm on a bunch of platforms. I got Instagram here, and we are live to Facebook, to Twitch, to YouTube. Man, and so I got your group right here on Facebook.
Oh, I see you. Oh, they're hanging where you hanging.
Man, well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about today, Vic. I called Vic up. I said, Vic, we need to maybe do a show tomorrow.
Right.
And the reason I wanted to do it because there's a bunch of stuff to talk about, a bunch of stuff. And so people wanted us to talk about it, and we wanted to deal with it. And so here we are today. The world is changing. The world is changing. We all know that it's changing right there in front of us. And we all are struggling to deal with those changes. Isolation, being locked up, even under the best of circumstances, it's tough. And if under the worst of circumstances, absolutely unbearable. Well, at least we're lucky here to have some space. I mean, even if you in the hood, in the middle of the ghetto, if you have a little bit of a backyard right now, you glad, right? You got the little blow-up pool going, and well, you did have that stuff. But if you're in a little tight apartment with some kids, you may be stressing out. So we're acknowledging that. It's that kind of a time. That's the kind of a day it has been, Vic, and the kind of a week and the kinds of months that it has been. So,
let me try to guess. You got something to say, and you already know what the hell you're gonna say, right? You're softening up what's up here, and I got just got to give love to everybody who's following. You're setting them up for the boom, right? You about to boom on them, right?
Well, I don't know.
Right.
What
does your neighbor call you by nickname?
My neighbor called me Doom and Gloom.
There we go.
My neighbor called me Doom and Gloom, y'all.
Doom and Gloom, you guys.
Doom and Gloom.
There.
And I don't, but I get it because, hey, I have to talk to you about some things that are not particularly pleasant. And, I guess that's doom and gloom. And Victor and I, we talked about this. Really, the perspective is that as a pediatrician, especially as a pediatric intensivist, where I took care of children, babies under the worst circumstances, unfortunately, in my profession, you get used to giving people bad news. One of the things I pointed out, Vic, I said, Vic, I trained in telling people how their children were doing poorly. Sometimes they did well, but in an intensive care situation, it's easy to tell people when things are going great. It's easy to tell people things are going good and wow, look at that. It takes work to communicate to people when things are going bad. And so this situation with Corona reminded me of that. I guess I am doom and gloom. One thing about bad news as a physician, it never makes me want to lie to you. Never. In other words, if I got bad news for you, I feel bad that I have bad news. But there's no part of that do I start thinking about how to lie to you, how to manipulate the truth. I know that I'm going to have to tell you the bad news 3 to 5 times. I'm going to have to tell you the bad news 3 to 5 times because the first 3 times it doesn't sink in. When you tell someone that someone they love unexpectedly is dying, there's a sense of shock. They just don't get it. You have to, unfortunately, you have to repeat it.
But I got some challenges for you, man. You know, I'm not going to let you off easy.
Well, good. Thank you, Vic. I don't want to be,
All right.
the women have been giving me a hard time lately, so I've not been getting
Move
off.
to you, too. Yeah.
I'm not getting off.
If you guys hear me talking, I made it a promise that even while I'm doing this, I'm going to be talking to my fam while they're in front of me.
There you go.
All right, just letting you know.
There you
So
go.
here it is. I have 2 or 3 elementary students coming in. I have a couple of junior high school students coming in, and they're sitting down going, I want to watch the show. How will you talk to them when they go, Big Poppy?
No, differently. If you're a young person and you're young enough to understand, it's different when I have to talk to children. Unfortunately, again, Vic, I hate to tell you that. My history is I'm the doctor who talked to 7-year-olds about their terminal illness.
Right.
And 12-year-olds.
Right.
And even 5-year-olds. But it's hard to talk to them too much younger. But when you talk to young people, again, same thing. Never lie to them. Always the truth.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Treat them as if they have some intelligence. So if you're 12 and 13, if you were my child, I would talk to a 12 and 13-year-old just like they were my child. It means that I would be trying to get them ready for the world. Imagine this. People who are graduating from college and high school, nothing. No celebration. Vic, think of when we graduated from high school.
Remember now. Yeah, but see, now let me ask you this. Let me ask you. I agree. Let's pretend like we're not in that day. We're in this day. And the kid says, "Are we gonna be all right?"
Yeah, we're going to be all right, but that doesn't mean you're not going to go through hardship. You're going to have to be stronger, more prepared. Again, if I was talking to my child, especially depending on their age, but if they were, just say, let's take 13. Is that a good enough age? I would be telling my child, you're going to have to step up from this point on. You're going to have to grow up faster. You're going to have to learn to be more responsible. You're going to have to do more things in a different way. And if my child was 10 years old, I think I would be telling them the same thing. You're going to have to step up. You're going to have to work harder. It's going to be more difficult. But you know what? This too shall pass. And one day we'll be talking about the hardship that was this corona pandemic. But this too shall pass, as have all the other difficult times. And I will remind my child that as a people, we've certainly been through worse. A whole bunch of us. So that's what I would tell him, Dick.
That's not bad. I give you. That's not doom and gloom. But I'm gonna make it like.
Well,
that.
I give him that. See, okay. Well, that's a matter how you phrase it, huh?
Right. I'm only saying this, man. Keeping it real. You know, if there's 6, it's different than 13. 13, you're already talking to them. Like
6, they have no. See, at certain ages,
right.
they don't. Imagine trying to.
What's up?
They're trying to imagine trying to explain to a 6-year-old that they're dying.
Right. Or let me just keep it right here. I want to go outside and play. How come I can't go play?
Oh, same thing. I can tell them the same.
Right.
Because you could get your. Because now I need you to understand clearly. See, I talk to my children in a way.
You got children?
Well, my imaginary children. In a way that seeks to educate them.
All right.
You can't go outside because there is a disease going around that is contagious. What does contagious mean? That means it spreads from person to person. So I can't have you be around people because you could pick up the disease. And the disease could make you very sick. But even if it didn't make you very sick, it might make me, mommy, grandma, Uncle Bill, Bob, and Billy Bob, and all the group of Pinky, Greenie, Brownie.
Right.
Everybody could get sick.
Right.
That's what I would tell my child. So you can't hang around people, but you can go outside in the yard and play, but you have to maintain social distancing. Do you understand what social distancing is?
Right.
Well, let me explain it to you, because if you don't do social distancing, guess what?
All right.
You won't be outside.
Okay. How's
that?
I got another one for
Mess up on this and you'll be back in your room.
Okay, I got another one for it. All
Okay.
expense paid trip for you and a couple of your little students to American Samoa, where they have not one case documented of coronavirus.
They will after that. After that wonderful promotional effort, they're going to be bringing in the corona.
So
So corona's on its way, and I hope you have some vents there in American Samoa.
But would that be a place that you can get in a day or two and get out real quick?
Yes, you can, and bring corona with you. Because if you're not being tested, who knows what you're bringing?
You know what?
So it won't be good. You better get fast, because when you get there, they probably already starting to be infected.
What's safer right now? Going to the grocery store or American Samoa?
What's going to the grocery store? American Samoa, probably.
Guys, get your ticket.
I presume.
Get
But
your-
see, here's the problem. I can't tell you things like that because of with lack of testing. What if American Samoa was already experiencing an outbreak and we didn't know it, because the one thing they don't have there is tests.
Right.
So what's happening is a bunch of the places people think are safe, when they get there, they're not safe. And in the process of getting there, they're exposing themselves.
Okay. I got one more, then you could keep on going. American Samoa or a visit to the White House?
I'd go to the White House.
Okay.
I'd actually try to contract corona
See, you're just wrong.
and
man.
take it in there.
You're just wrong.
No, they're going to test you.
That's right.
Even though the test could be,
Testing doesn't mean that your habits are good. It just means you're being tested.
now supposedly now in the White House they are wearing masks. So maybe they'll protect the president. Listen, my spirituality doesn't allow for me to wish death or things like that on the
Right.
president or his staff. But I can, in all fairness, wish and pray for them to be affected.
Right. Right.
In other words, I'm not praying for the president to be unaffected. I'm praying for him to be affected, but I leave it at affected, because I don't go around wishing for people's negative outcomes. I won't do that. That's
Right.
not me.
Right.
But I can wish that you are affected. Okay? That might be just someone near you affected. But stuff happens, okay? So, Maxine Waters, the congresswoman, her sister died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that,
This
man.
is stuff.
I'm
It gets
sorry.
personal. See,
I'm
it
sorry
starts
to
to
hear
get
that.
personal.
Yeah.
Her sister died.
Yeah.
So in our community, Vic, it's starting to get more and more personal. It's coming home.
Yeah. Well, you have little kiddies. They're watching the show and they're going. Kids are.
We got little kiddies watching the show.
Yeah, watching from the Trump family, going, "Did he just say Dada? You wish Dada get it?"
No, I give Barron a pass. But all
Right,
the
there
other
you go.
Trump children are idiots. If they're and Ivanka, who's not really technically an idiot, is just so off in La La Land, it's almost the same thing.
Hey,
The other two are just idiots.
hey, let me just. I'm just saying. Who do you think you could have a better conversation with? Kush
Who?
or Ivanka? Jared. I just call him Kush.
Ivanka.
You have a better conversation? Mm-hmm. All right.
Because I'll be imagine one of them blowing me.
Okay. I can turn to my conversation over here.
And it won't be Jared. And it won't be Jared.
Hey, listen. All right. Welcome
I'm
back.
sorry.
Welcome back to
I'm
the
sorry.
special version of But see, why we needed this? Because you're going to bring us something anyway that we already kind of know.
Well, again, some of you know. I mean, Vic, you know, but
Right.
I don't know that any of these other people know. But Vic, you know. So let's talk about where do we stand in our preparation. I listed a number of questions on Facebook for us to discuss. And the first thing is, where do we stand in our preparation? We don't stand well for a variety of reasons. You need to have a coordinated response that's nationwide. You need to have a coordinated response nationwide so that you can shift your resources to where they are needed. You can't do any of that without testing. So without testing, you have no idea of where it's emerging, where it's waning. You have no idea which are the crisis points, and you're unable to shift your resources. Well, currently, even as it stands, there is no one in charge of the efforts. Is it FEMA? No, it's not. Is it the Corona Task Force that the president has recently decided to keep going, but he was thinking of terminating? So who's in charge? No one's in charge. Who's in charge of the information? The president's at war with the CDC. Now, as much as I have issues with the CDC in the past, when it comes to things like this, they are going to be the best available information. You know, and you can look around the world. One thing I tell people, we're going to get into the conspiracy stuff in a little bit. You can look around the world. The whole world isn't involved in a hoax. If you could, let's put it like this, if you could pull off a hoax worldwide like this, you could pull off the real thing. So this is going on worldwide. And where do we stand in our preparation? We're doing like a 1 out of 10.
Right.
You know, as far as I understand, you're still well under 2% of the population tested. It was 2% last week. I wish we could get to some 20, 30, 40, but you're in the single digits of testing in the United States. You're in the single digits. Because of that simple fact alone, that you're in the single digits with testing in the United States, that means you can't do anything. You are totally unprepared. You know nothing. You can do nothing. And at the top, you have a vacuum. So no one's in charge. There is no coordinated response. And that's part of the problem. And that doesn't look like that's going to get any better. In other words, as I stand and look forward as a physician, I see absolute chaos, because even where you have instances where local officials do the right thing in exemplary fashion, they're going to be next door to municipalities that don't.
Right.
And there were some reports that said over 60,000 people went across the border and back from Florida into Georgia just to have some fun. Okay? Over 60,000. So where do we stand in our preparation? We don't have any preparation. You have no coordinated leadership at the top. That affects supplies, distribution of supplies, monitoring of shortages of supplies. Who's monitoring? Who do you call to tell the people that you're short of supplies? So where do we stand in preparation? We stand poorly. Now, the other thing that you got to keep in mind, because there's a timetable involved in here, and I'm going to remind you of that timetable, is that you're headed into a rough time. Okay, you're headed into a rough time. They expect between now and the end of June for your death rate, well, excuse me, not your death rate, the number of deaths to double. To double. Between now and the end of June. So that's
Are you focused?
I'm looking at some of the chat because people are really talking, so I got to say. So, I'm sorry, Vic. Yeah, I did get distracted, but the chat's distract y'all or something else.
Hey, listen. They were waiting for you, bro. Deep breathe. Let it go.
The problem that's about to hit you guys is because you still don't have any tests. Okay, so rural America. Let's talk about rural America. Rural America, like the inner cities of America, is underserved, traditionally, historically. So, they don't realize it. A lot of them are Trump territory. They mad, but they mad at the wrong people, I always say, for the wrong things. They need to be mad at some other folks, but okay, so we're going to see it's going to hit Kentucky. I think it is the or one of the poorest states in the country.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to hit these other states, North Dakota, South. You're going to get the places that spread out. Now, some of these places, I was just looking at some of the medical setups, Vic. Some of these places, they have a hospital where it's like 2 doctors,
right,
who monitor the emergency room or something. 2 or 3 days on at a time. 3 days on, 4 days off. And what they do, they just live at the hospital. There's so few patients, they just stay there. They just move in and sleep.
Right.
And do their regular day. And if a patient shows up, they go over to the ER.
Right.
They have like 1 or 2 vents in the whole county. You're going to have trouble when this shit hits rural America. They're going to die. They're going to die like you see the inner city dying because it's going to reveal the historic inequities that abound in the United States. So it's going to reveal them. So the rural areas are about to die. And all the places where you saw the protests going on, look what's already happening. Even South Korea, which everybody was talking, South Korea, right? That was the one everybody was saying how much they loved it, right?
Yes.
Guess what's happening today?
Yes.
South Korea relaxed.
Too much.
And now they got a resurgence.
Yes.
In South Korea, the place y'all was saying woo, woo, woo.
Right.
You cannot do any reasonable attempt at control without testing. So you can't go out till we can test. And if you want to go out, even in the most trivial ways, we need testing everywhere. They talking about 300,000. We need like 500,000 tests a day. Woo. A day.
Yeah.
That may not even be enough.
Right. Right.
500,000 of tests a day. So that gets to question number 2. Should we be reopening? What should our criteria be for reopening? Well, they already released the criteria. Essentially, no state has met criteria. The president is upset and doesn't agree with the CDC criteria and is shutting them down, which has always been part of my issue with the CDC. The CDC is a politicized organization under government control. So even when these wonderful physicians do a good job, stuff is politicized. Always has been. Remember Agent Orange in Vietnam? Okay, CDC now. CDC.
Wait,
They're always politicized.
Where do they get a lot of their money from?
The
Okay.
government.
So if nobody cares about the government if they give them money, right? Okay, so
well,
what?
that's why I'm reminding you.
All right. Now,
You might want to care.
now, I got one for you. You got to insert mine because I already know where he's going. If you had to pick an alternative state to be in outside of California as your second place to go, let me be there based on what's happening now, what state would that be?
California.
No. Second state. You already in Cali. What other state? Just sorry. You look at it, he's already know. See, it's
So
easy.
you want to be in a place where you want to be within an hour of the best medical care in the country. That's what I'm basing mine on. So if you go too far, you're good because you're isolated, but you're also bad Because there's no help if you do get sick.
Now, wait a minute.
What if you fly in and you have it, or your kid has it? So, minute you get there, you're sick.
I got to help Mario out. Didn't he just sound like a politician? Did he answer the question?
Oh no, I don't. What was the? I thought I answered the question.
No. What's the second state?
I don't know. I have no idea. All reason I'm staying in California because I know my surroundings.
Right.
But I don't know any state, to me, that's doing good. So I have no idea.
Yeah.
The ones that seem to be doing good, Vic,
On the West.
are the ones that are being hit. So the reason why
On
they're
the
doing
West.
good is they're responding to being hit.
Right.
So I don't know. Why would we want to go there? See, I'm just saying.
Okay.
We don't want to go anywhere.
The place to
Stay
go.
in the house. We want to stay in the house.
Wouldn't it be the place that says we're not reopening?
Well, maybe, except if that place is full of disease, I don't want the same answer. You may not be reopening, but you may be full of disease. PMC said Ohio. I'm not going to Ohio. See, first of all, I'm not going to any place where there's a bunch of public protesting
Oh, my
the
God.
lockdown.
Ooh.
So Michigan's out of the question.
Ooh.
Now, people can say, well, they protested in Cali. I say, yeah, but less. Waters said Alaska. Okay, but I said, remember my criteria. You need to be within an hour of excellent health care. I'm sure Anchorage, they will overload that healthcare system in Anchorage, okay?
What about-
See, places like that,
Right.
Vic, they're going to be overloaded.
Right.
Maybe Hawaii, because Hawaii's a little more isolated, which might
small.
be good.
Too small.
But they got excellent medical.
Can't get off the island.
But
if
they
you're
got,
for us.
yeah, you can. You get on a boat. You will be on Kauai. I think I'd go to Hawaii. Hawaii, they got excellent. They got Kaiser.
Okay.
So I got coverage.
What about state of Washington or Oregon?
Man,
Think about it.
Oregon's a little rural, and Oregon.
But they got-
I've been driving through Oregon. You know, you got to watch out for the white folks. up
Okay,
there.
see,
I'm saying
you're
that
not-
in Washington too.
Wait a
No
minute.
offense. I got to stay in places that are relatively liberal. In Washington, the white folks may not like me.
Okay, so
Say
are you
Oregon
saying
either.
Washington is not liberal?
I'm saying it ain't Afro-friendly.
Wait a minute. Where is it Afro-friendly?
You ain't got but a handful of Afro-friendly
Name
places
the
in the
states.
United States.
Name
No.
Afro-friendly.
It's not even a whole state. It'll be a city or county in a state.
Name Afro-friendly states.
Southern California.
Oh, that's jacked up.
In certain areas. Because I can say Orange County ain't that Afro-friendly. So everywhere you go, you have to pick the community. In lovely California, in lovely Los Angeles County, you
Right.
sure better pick. All the police live out in Simi Valley. The white folks do not want you.
Wait,
Okay, out in Simi Valley.
Wait a
Okay,
minute.
go move out there.
You know what?
Move out there and find out.
We should have invited Marvin onto this show.
Okay, move out there and find out. They do not want you. Okay? All right,
So-
I'm just saying, this is California, but we got our racism just like everywhere else.
Well, every place, but what you look for, kind of what I hate for the word that means something different to people. When I think liberal, I think of not just about racism. I think about other things, being not stuck in a time warp and staying with the same old tradition and just staying there. I believe you have to evolve, or we be in covered wagons right now. So
I agree. Now,
So-
I'm not sure what that means in terms of this, but okay. I got a lot of
So I
weed.
got to bring up the Bill Pickett rodeo. No, all right, let me do this. Let me do this. See,
How do you spell release?
yeah, listen, let me say this. If you guys haven't jumped on that industry with marijuana, it is one of
stock up.
it is doing well.
I stocked up. Grow
just
your
saying.
own and sell it. Grow weed,
I'm
and
just saying.
weed is going to be part of the underlying black market commerce of the United States. Rural America, inner city America.
Judy.
Everybody
Paula.
grow
Good to
weed.
see you.
Everybody should be growing weed, and they can do it legally.
Right.
And then trade or barter with your friends, which is illegal, but they don't know.
You wait a minute.
So I'm suggesting you break the law.
Wait a minute. Let me say this.
Sort of.
At a time now where there's a very serious investment in what they call that therapeutic, natural, whatever you want to call it. Wouldn't it be better just to tell them keep it legal? Because already you're on the Listen, you're on the precipice of having success. If you decide to invest directly,
What
it's
does
just
keep it legal mean, though? The government just bullshit.
wait a minute. Are we on a platform that may or may not be controlled by the unfairness of the government as it pertains to internet and social media and streaming? When do fair come to what? Tell me what we're doing that's fair. What industry?
I didn't say fair.
Right.
Did I say fair?
Right.
I didn't say fair. It ain't
Right.
never fair. I'm black.
Yeah.
Fair ain't in my vocabulary.
See, so
Fair.
you work with
What's
what you
fair?
have. Right. What's
No fairness for black folks.
any
Ain't
group?
fair.
Any group, regardless.
Great.
Yeah. Any group. So at least we know. At least we know this
It
much.
ain't fair in Puerto Rico right now.
Okay. Well, I would like to challenge people to do this on Mario's Facebook page if you can. Each of you say which state would Mario best serve in because he's an advocate of fairness and the place that's second to California, and we'll see which state wins.
That's right. I got to go a place where they used to black folks with locks. Black physicians with locks.
All right.
Because I don't need to get strung up by going to some place in Georgia. We don't have black folks like you around here. And there's a reason, boy.
Oh man.
I
Joe.
said, you don't have to tell me twice.
You got some slow. I'm gonna say it this
I'm
way.
just saying, I ain't headed down to some places,
Yeah.
okay?
There's some good people in these states, but they got some.
And they better have some weed
They got
wherever
some
I'm
butt
going.
fuck politicians that are.
I'm just
stuck.
saying the butt-fuck politicians
Dude.
are elected by communities that share those attitudes.
Right.
So know that. When you have a butt-fuck politician, he represents a butt-fuck community.
Right.
Follow him home. Follow Ted Cruz home.
Right.
Follow some of these other folks home.
Right.
They
right.
represent butt-fuck communities that are full of racists. That's who they represent. That's why when they come to Congress and the Senate, they feel comfortable being racist because that's who their base
Oh,
is.
all day, baby.
Okay,
All
that's
day.
what's happening. And you're finding out that in America.
Oh yeah.
Okay, don't get me started on racism.
You're learning more and more about how the system flows.
Well, I'm telling you, the one thing that
All
I can
day.
say that's good about all this is I will never, ever again in life have a discussion with some of my white friends about racism. You know, they used to all think we were exaggerating, right?
Yep.
None of my white friends think I'm exaggerating. None of them. They're in horror. The black people ain't in horror. We knew this was happening. But the white folks I know, they in horror, okay? Because they didn't think this was real. Mario, you're exaggerating.
Right.
No, I'm not exaggerating. Not here in Los Angeles. Yep. Okay. Next question. Once they have the vaccine, should you get it? Now, Vic, I think it's like 15,000 people have already signed up to be the test cases.
Why not? Why not? What you got to lose? I'm gonna use that quote.
You got the anti-vaxxers.
Right.
You got the conspiracy people. Then you got the believers.
Right.
You know, it's kind of hard. Yo, I got to at least for a moment, let me just reflect on, as a health professional, how hard it is to be in the middle of shit like this. You know, the doctors that are going to have to sit there and explain to people the vaccine. Because I can tell you, I remember one night in the emergency room, like 3 a.m. Okay? It was actually a night like this, where you have those nights where like it's crazy. So I remember I went to go to this one room, and the lady says, before you get started, I want you to know I am not leaving here without an antibiotic. I am not, doctor. I said, okay, let's talk. In the next room I went in, the lady, first thing she said is, before we get started, I don't want any antibiotics. I don't want any.
Wow.
Right there in a row.
Right.
In a row. That actually happened.
Right.
And I went down and sat down for a moment. I needed a moment to reflect on the experience that I was having.
Right.
And I had to go, I said, you know, people are really crazy. And they come in groups. So, my point is this. Should you get the vaccine? I tell you who will be first in line. And then you decide. Once they have a vaccine that's tested, the first people who go get in line is the doctors and nurses and the respiratory therapists, the technicians, the housekeeping, dietary. Everybody at the hospital going to be in line like this. Look, they're going to be in line looking for their turn. So you don't have to get the vaccine, okay? But I tell you who will get the vaccine, all the healthcare professionals. Now, the other people, I don't know. I would say if you have, and I understand the people who don't trust their governments, this is the problem. This is the problem I brought up to physicians before at Kaiser. I said, you all are not understanding the issue is that the public doesn't trust you. They don't trust your advice. They trust my advice. They don't trust your advice. Okay? And when I see Dr. Burke sit up there and do that bullshit, that political bullshit she does at the press reports, I don't blame people. Dr. Burke's, the one who keeps reporting, the lady with the scars, she's everything that I've always hated about doctors explaining stuff.
Right.
She talks for, she could talk to blah, 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 and you don't understand a goddamn thing she said, nor did she answer the question. In her efforts to be apolitical, she does nothing. She actually does herself a discredit and makes herself look like an idiot. So Dr. Burks looks like an idiot to half the doctors. I sit there watching Sanjay Gupta go like,
I know.
you ever watch his face?
I watch his face.
Sanjay watch him on MS. He's sitting there watching reports like.
right.
The doctors will be watching reports like. Okay. That's the kind of faces that the doctors are making. So, it's politicized. Right. Now, the issue with the vaccine. So, Renee, it's not that the strain, okay, I got to be careful with the terminology. Okay. Evolving, because those things imply things. When they say the strain is evolving. Okay, first of all, the first thing they do is they have to isolate the virus from different areas just to make sure that they are exactly the same. Okay? Now, and what you guys say, evolving, I could just tell you, it's typical for there to be subtypes or types, they're typing these viruses, and for there to be different ones in different parts of the U.S. That happens for a lot of viruses. There's different ones, and a lot of this is virology, which you guys are getting a short course in virology. So part of the issue with developing vaccines is that if you develop vaccines and the part to which you develop the vaccine changes, then the vaccine doesn't work. So one of the areas of research is to try to go back. This is kind of fascinating too. And try to find something that is unique to most or all of these viruses going back. In other words, the shift of focus, instead of trying to develop a vaccine to evolving strains, try to at the same time go back and find some unique aspects of the past infections to which you could develop a vaccine that'll knock out all of them. So you could actually have a vaccine one day that comes in and knocks out like a bunch of viruses like this in a group, just boom, knocks them out. Right. See, so it's a different way. That's as easy as I can explain it. It's a different way of approaching it, and that's what they're doing.
Would you like
for some of them?
Would you like to volunteer yourself as a committee or consultant who could offer up these ideas that we could feel? That we know you won't be politicized.
I would work. I can offer up these ideas to hey, Vic, I know how the NFL.
Yes.
I know how the NFL and the NBA should be approaching their broadcast.
Hey, yeah.
I actually know that, you guys. Spread the word around. I know how the NBA, the NFL, even Major League Baseball, all sports should be approaching their broadcast. I got it in a nutshell. And I'll be willing to sit down and talk.
Thank you.
But they're going to have to
they're
be
gonna
really kind to me
it's gonna have to be worse. They're going like you're not thinking about the bigger picture.
and pay me a bunch of money.
Yeah, that's why you see some of those people.
A bunch of cash.
Hey, listen.
Cash,
They're,
grass, or ass.
listen,
Nobody rides free.
I got a question for you. Watch this. Right now, you have the power. There's a power in your standard of living, but you want to make change for those in the little man. And in a Twilight Zone moment, you get offered to be the president of the United States starting effectively 48 hours. Do you accept?
Yeah, I'm ready to run this bitch. I know what to do.
See, there we
See, I
go.
know what to do.
Right. There we go. See, it's simple.
And some of it, the problem with the public, had they been educating you, had they really started a nationwide educational campaign in the beginning of this, by now you would be more ready for the things that they're going to do. Now, let me tell you about this, and you need to be aware. How long they been working on HIV? 40 years?
Yeah.
Do they have a vaccine? Against a known virus?
Yeah, no. Has there ever been
a known specific virus?
Have they ever squashed the virus, just completely eradicated out?
That's a matter of opinion, but I would say to a degree, yes. Polio, even though they have some outbreaks.
Yeah.
Remember, the nature of viruses, for some reason, that they spring up.
That's right.
And then they jump on it.
That's exactly.
But a lot of the things that we vaccinate children for are very effective. Very effective at preventing those diseases in children.
Right.
And so, even though you know about the issues with children and those vaccines, the people claim that it associated with autism, which no one knows half the time what that's associated with.
All right.
It wasn't even sure what it was one. It's not even one disease. But anyway,
what?
No. But the whole issue is we don't have a history of great success with viral illness. Usually, in the best instances with viral illness, you do prevention, which usually means vaccines and then other measures that you do at the time.
Right.
Just to slow down the spread. Okay?
Okay.
So you don't have a bunch of history of success with viral illness. Okay? You have some, but not things. There's too many common colds. But again, that's why folks are trying to isolate things that might be more consistent across viral strains. And maybe then you have a vaccine that knocks out a bunch of them. This is stuff that's being worked on. Now, one of the last things I wanted to talk about, Vic, was our 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 1 year plans. I'll say that again. Our 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 1 year plans.
Okay.
I don't know, Vic. I'll start this out. What do y'all think? I'm just curious. And I'm looking at the chat room. It is now May 11th, June, July, August, September, November, December. June, July, August, September, November, December. 6 months. What do you guys think we're going to be doing in 6 months? Vic, what do you think?
Same bullshit. I am.
I hate to be gloom and doom. I'm just asking you.
I'm
I'm asking everybody, where do they expect us to be? Because this is our point of discussion.
Same.
Is our 1 month, our 3 month, our 6 month, and our 1 year plans. We're trying to make some plans. Okay, some practical plans. It's a discussion.
Right.
So I'm asking you guys where you think you're going to be in 6 months in December. Because I got my opinion. That's why I'm smoking a bowl. See,
hopefully breathing, and I believe in the same place. For me, I don't know about anybody else. Because I always believe the power in the economics, and I believe in collateral acceptance, that they go like this. Here's the world we live in. No economy, people dying at a lower rate, and it just comes to a stop. Or continue to resurge in the economy, people have to die. But that will stay. I believe that whole mechanism, that whole construct is in play. And so for me, I'm not going to even listen to what they're saying as it relates to, well, we're reopening. Okay, this is what we're doing. I think they're being set up because the greed and the power is always sustainable. You can't get them to change.
Yeah, the
their
reopening
ways.
thing is a joke. If there's
Yeah.
anything that's a hoax,
It's done.
it's reopening.
Yeah.
That's the biggest hoax in the world.
Yeah.
The biggest hoax. Remember, with less than 2% of the population screened, there is no way to open.
No.
Okay, you need 500,000 tests a day.
Yep.
Probably more than 500,000 a day. Okay?
Yeah.
So there should be
Thank
no opening. There is
Thank
no
you.
state that meets the criteria.
Thank you.
And all you're doing with the reopening is ensuring spread. And already South Korea, the place that you were touting a week ago, is having a resurgence of infection. Okay?
Yep.
So, doom and gloom. Sorry, doom and gloom. The issue that I have with my 6-month and 1-year plans is that I expect full economic decline in the United States. So, the full economic decline that I'm expecting to hit in 6 months to a year impacts my plans greatly. My 1 month, my 3 month, and up to 6 month plans really involve getting ready for that. If you can, if you have the luxury of working overtime, if you have the luxury of getting any more monies, then you should do so and attempt to stock up to a degree on the things that you consider most precious to you. I have a lot of coffee.
You know,
And Vic, you know, I like whipped cream in my coffee. Vic, how many cans of whipped cream do we have in the outdoor refrigerator now?
yeah, you actually had to. They drove up with a forklift on a plat.
See, so I probably have those big bags of coffee. I probably
Yeah.
got like 12.
Getting ready for it, man.
12 or 15.
Just getting ready for the real.
I got like 6 cases of toilet paper about to go down in the
Steve.
cellar.
What's up, Steve?
If you can, your 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month plans have got to really be focused on preparation for the summer. I'll say that again. Your 1 month, 3 month, 6 month plans are focused upon, first of all, preparation for the summer, then the fall, ensuing winter. So it's all about preparation. The issues, I say again, is that when you live in places like Los Angeles, you have to be aware of how this infection is going to be affecting your neighbors.
Right.
People are going to be broke,
Yep.
getting evicted. The guarantees on not being evicted is going to run out. And plus, even with the guarantees of not being evicted, the property owner is going to go broke and have his property confiscated.
And watch for scams. Watch for the scams because they're like really going to take advantage of your weakness because you're not going to be as focused.
So my problem is that I expect this to be a rough summer. If it's hot, you're going to have riot conditions. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about riot conditions. I'm old enough to remember the Watts riot. That was a particularly bad summer, particularly brutal summer.
Yeah.
So brutal summers, while
Yeah.
people are broke and suffering,
Yep.
you could have riots break out over the whole United States. I'll say that again. I hate to be the first voice of doom and gloom. I'm expecting civil unrest. Okay? 6 months, 1 year, summer. Civil unrest. The first civil unrest starts this summer during the heat wave. So, I think you need to be getting prepared for that.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody yesterday in Canada, and they said, oh, you know what our government's done? They've given us 4 months stimulus checks in a row. More money than we gave one. The money thing. And now, of course, it's only 4 months. So the part I was thinking about is this. What do you expect people to do when they go, I can't listen to CNN, I can't listen to the CDC, and I can't listen to the independent people because nobody's sitting back offering me a way to make money. And I'm about 3 weeks or a month away from being evicted. I need to work. Who's going to talk to them? They're going to take a risk.
I don't know. This is where you're a politician
they're
and
going to take a risk.
You don't need 4 months of support. You need 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. They ought to talk about 2 years of support for the get-go.
Yeah.
For everybody. For the get-go. 2 years.
That's what I'm only saying this.
2 years.
If I was in the position where I'm going, I have exhausted all my money. I have a month left. The only thing that interests me is this. If I get down to the point where I have to risk protecting myself to go and make income, especially if a family, you're going to take that risk.
Yeah, you're going to take that risk. And hopefully that the check you get will do more than just pay your rent. You need to be able to pay your rent and buy you some food.
And that check that they sent out, much appreciated to those in it. You and I both know this. That bought them what, maybe a half a month, a month?
So, doom and gloom. Now, again, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but I had to give you the historic precedent for me. I look upon these conversations with you all the same way that I viewed discussing bad outcomes with children in the ICU. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to give you the truth and attempt to explain it to you as clearly as I can so that you can understand the predicament you find yourself in. That's my goal. That's the goal of any health professional, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of people dying, in the middle of disaster, the job of that health professional is to communicate to you as clearly as possible, as many times as necessary, until it sinks in what is actually happening to you, what predicament you find yourself in. Okay? So, remember that. I'm going to be doing that. It may be more doom and gloom. Well, it will be more doom and gloom. Sorry. You got more doom and gloom coming. I'm going to do my best to help you cope with that doom and gloom.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Vic, any last words for you about stuff? Because you...
I'm kind of more interested, but I'll get to that later, because you're really being kind of sidetracked by some of the chat comments. I would say the next time we do the surprise show, you just go in and include some of those comments, because, you know, I'm not used to seeing you kind of in the midstream of a conversation look to the left and makes you hesitate.
I gotta, that's the whole thing. Part of the thing with the internet, part of the thing with internet television is that it's a two-way communication.
Right.
And if it's going to be a two-way communication, that means the communicator has got to pay attention to what he's being told. I have 3 screens in front of me.
That's right.
This one here is where I'm getting my Facebook.
Yeah.
This one here, I'm getting your Facebook.
Yep.
I got Instagram Live here.
Do you want people to invite you to their Zoom rooms, Mark?
Only if they got some naked folks.
Well, that
if
transition.
you got some naked folks in your Zoom room.
It's time to go, you guys. It's time to go. There are some intelligent Zooms with some risque attire. That's to be expected, because sometimes people want to feel like they got the hotness, even while they're intelligent. Mario wants that room.
Playing from Mario's iPad.
I want that room too.
That's right. Remember, you can send me some naked pictures. I won't be insulted. Any body parts. Of course, if you men send me dick pics, I'll post that for all my women friends to grade and evaluate.
You put that out in the air?
Just want you to know that they send me some. I'll put them up there for the ladies to rate them.
Oh, man. It's time to go. Time to go.
We have to make a new show.
All right.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Warner Williams, Renee Dobson, Phil Cuthbert.
And your feet up, shoes off, head on back. Late night staying up, writing these raps. And go in the summertime, soaking up the sun. Now I'm jet black, yeah, I think I got enough. All the tops flip-flops like you so small braids, Kool-Aid, melon in the shade. Cute boys, first jobs, divas being snobs. Telephone, internet, computer, was overnight stays. Little drinking, little kissing, playing these games.
Leland
Boys
and
trying to back
Valerie.
him, then the next day bragging, but you didn't
Thank
wanna
y'all.
kiss him 'cause he had that dragon. Laughing till you pee, hoping homies don't see. Cut a little grass for some gas money. Chilling at the malls, getting sticky with the paws. You did it for the rush like a rebel with no cause. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, said you looking for applause. See, we were fizzled laws, didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to us, it had no flaws. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, said you looking for applause. See, we were fizzled laws, didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to had no flaws.
Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Twitch. Thank you, YouTube, Twitter.
And yo, posted at the hoop court 3 straight hours. White mini skirt with the airbrush flowers. We went to Sugar Labs and they appreciated that. And he would almost die when he let you wear his cap. You might have told a lie and abbreviated facts if you came home late and were accused of being baked. Me, I
Instagram
didn't
just
post
ended.
no, mama, I swear. She's only gonna judge me and you know it ain't fair. Trips to the beauty shop, keeping fresh hair. Blowing $80
Now,
at
why
the
is that
Jam State
camera-
Fair.
why camera
Beach
so
body
low?
surfing with the abs looking perfect. Hitting all the clubs, getting love on the surface. From
I
ice
think
cream
it's the
cones to
club.
the Starbucks stones to your new best friend to your breakup song. They all play out like your
Well, it's still the
favorite
way it
days.
gets.
We love the
All right,
summertime and it ain't gonna change.
Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause.
You want attention, so
Like
you
a
looking
diva
for
with no
applause.
draws.
See, we were fizzled laws, didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to us, it had no flaws. Rebel with no cause, rebel with no cause. You want attention, so you looking for applause. See, we were fizzled laws, didn't have a clause. It was the summertime to had no flaws.
Won't be stocking up on any condoms. Vic, you stocking up on condoms?
You notice I'm not switching the camera, right?
Some of us ain't stocking up on condoms. Alexa, begin playlist broadcast transition.
Your playlist, Broadcast Transition, on Amazon Music.